What's up, guys? It's James with This Week in Airsoft, back yet again. We stay so busy on This Week in Airsoft. We've got a great video interview here with Rich, the CEO of AirsoftC3. He's going to be
Howdy.
telling us about all kinds of good stuff going on with AirsoftC3. If you guys haven't heard of it, they've been around for a little while now, and now they are spreading their wings and getting to a level where they are doing great things. They've already got some products up for us to play with, so we're going to check them. We're going to talk to him and find out what's going on with them. Rich, how are you doing today, man?
I'm good. Thanks for having me on the show.
Thank you for coming on. It's a
Yeah.
pleasure to get a hold of you. Rich is my favorite guest on the show. He's super responsive, super eager. He was like, "Yes, I will reply to your message. Yes." So I love that. Real pleasure having you on, Rich. Just to give you guys some background, I found out about Airsoft C3 a while ago. Someone sent me a thing, a suggest pages on Facebook, and I said, "Oh, okay." I went and looked at it. I clicked on it, and I read the thing. Said, "Oh, Airsoft community." I was like, "Okay." And in my mind, at my job, they have a thing called C3, which is the online community. So I was like, my brain was like, "Oh, community forum C3, like that's what it is at work." So I was like, "Okay,
Right.
it makes sense." So I didn't go back. I didn't look at it. I was busy. Then we were on a 2 month or 3 month hiatus, and then whatever. And then I saw a weird string of events occurred that got me back to your page, which I
Oh
won't
yeah.
go into because it was very strange. But it got me back to your page, and I said, "Oh, okay, let me check it out." So I went to the website, and you guys have something called the Finder, which is absolutely amazing. And that's the first of many things you guys are going to be doing. First, before I continue to ramble on, because that's what I love to do, tell us what Airsoft C3 is.
Well, where it is now, like you said, is a finder. So we started with what we felt was one of the biggest problems with airsoft, at least for us when we got started, was really just connecting with the industry, with the community. It's like, where do you go play? Where is a local shop to get something fixed? Where are other teams that are playing so that I can connect with the community, right? And so right now it is a field team in Shop Finder. We've got the United States right now. We're going to eventually grow and do worldwide, but we kind of wanted to keep it kind of local to us, US wise, so we can understand the addresses and the people and kind of work and build the tools up from there. And I think we have over 1,000 listings now, 300 and something fields, 400 and something teams, and 200 and something shops somewhere in there. And we've made the tool so it's really, really easy for you to put in an address or put in a state and really discover what airsoft is around you. We got started about 3.5 years ago when one of my partners put an airsoft gun in my hand, and it was Thanksgiving, and I was like, how did I know about this before? It's like, so we were shooting in his backyard, and then he told me about a field that he knew about, and I put the gun in another buddy's hand, and he had the same reaction I did. So we started playing, and when we started, we were like, all right, well, where are there other places? And everybody was like, I don't know. Like, this is the place I come and play. I'm like, really? There's got to be more places than that. And we're in the San Francisco Bay Area, right? It's a big it's a big place. Lots of people. You think there's got to be more places out here. So for about a year, we're going through this, and then we hear through a person, oh, by the way, I played at Vacaville Airsoft. You're like, oh, really? What's that? We dig in, we find, and this and that. So over a year and a half, we realized that there are probably 10 or 15 fields around us that we didn't know about and had no idea where to go.
Right.
And then to meet other teams. And honestly, I've never had more fun in an airsoft field than when I played with another team, either together or against each other. It just makes the dynamic, the game itself, so much more fun. How do you find all the local teams near you? Impossible. Even now, they're probably all on Facebook. They are. But if you search, you can't find them, right? So we sat down, and there's 5 of us. Our team is actually bigger. We're Team Chaos in the Bay Area. But 5 of us sat down, and we're in my kitchen, and we're like, well, we got to fix this. There's nothing out there that's doing what we want to do the way we want to do it. Let's sit down and do that. So that kind of conversation turned into starting a business that turned into a business plan that has evolved greatly. I mean, originally we're like, well, we'll just do Northern California and make it easier for people to find stuff. Well, that turned into now we got the whole country. We've got all these tools, and we're doing much, much more. So we started with the Finder, but when we started talking to like field owners, we realized there are no tools for field owners. Like, there's nothing out there to help a field owner get the word out about their field or even help them run their business? Like nothing. You talk to a shop owner. It's like, how do you connect with all of the customers that could come to your shop to get your stuff fixed or know what you have for sale? Everybody has a website, but it's really hard to find that stuff. So after the Finder, we're also going to be producing tools for people to help run their businesses. We're providing a space for advocates like yourself to be able to get the word out about talking about news and everything else. Organizers like the Lion Claw guys or American Milsim, Moondog Industries, any of those guys that are, they don't necessarily have a field of their own, but they organize games at different places throughout the year. And then eventually we'll have manufacturers and things about gear and all kinds of other stuff. But right now we started with what we thought was the biggest problem to solve, just discovery. I mean, the attrition rate is so high. From different retailers we've talked to, they say it can be as high as 60%. That means for every 10 people that buy an airsoft gun to go get involved in the sport in some way, 6 of them don't play after a year. 60%. That's crazy to me. And the more people playing, it's only a win for everybody. There's more fields that'll show up. There's more gear that'll be there for us. There'll be more people to play with. I mean, it's a win for everybody. So we figured with the Finder, if we can make it easy for people to just connect, like, all right, I bought my first gun. Where do I go? Go to AirsoftC3 and look, oh, there's 5 fields around me. Let me go check this out. Boom, I can go there and experience real airsoft, not just plinking in the backyard, which is fun for 10 minutes. But then it's like, all right, great. I've shot all the cans and glass bottles I can. What am I going to do now? Let's get you in the field. Let's play with other players. Let's play real games and see why we love this thing so much. Right. So that's where we're starting. The Finder is the first step. Shortly, we're going to roll out the retailer section. So we have key online retailers that we consider more than just an online marketplace, but we're calling them cornerstone retailers. So these guys they're giving back to the sport as much as they're taking your money for guns, right? It's like these are the ones that run events. They sponsor teams. They sponsor fields. They're doing more for advocacy through education and everything else. And there's a difference between somebody that's just trying to sell crap out of their back, the back of their garage, dumping stuff at 50% off, that really is ruining the market, versus a big online place that's got the muscle's the wrong word, the resources to really help grow the sport, right? So we're talking to a handful of those guys now. I think 4 or 5 of them we're in various discussions with. They'll have a special section for them that they'll be able to then share with the world, and they'll all be treated equally. The idea is to build a real impartial platform. We're not taking any sponsorship money. We're going to charge a fee for them, and they're going to get tools from us, and they're going to make use of those tools, which we hope will help the whole community. And then after that, we're going to allow embedding. So that means that our Finder can exist on anybody's website. So with the retailers, we're hoping what they'll do is that when you buy a gun from them, you'll then be able to go to their site there and find places that's actually our code and our Finder on their site. They're going to have controls to make it personal and make it their thing, but the goal being, hey, I want to find a place. Oh, here, I bought a gun. I want to go play here. There's 5 teams around me. They play on these fields all the time. When's the next event that's going to pop up? All this stuff. And they can immediately go get connected with the industry or with the community. And that Finder, that embedding, is going to be more than just for the retailers. So when we have partners like fields, teams, shops, anybody, if they're a full member, they'll also be able to embed the local version of our Finder near them. So let's say there's a field in New York, and they want to be able to provide a team listing and local shop listing for their customers or their players in that area. If they're a full member of AirsoftC3, they're going to be able to do that too. And within 150 miles of their location, they're going to be able to show that stuff. So if we can become the place that everybody goes to find the community, we'll in essence be defracturing the community and bringing it together. Because then everybody that wants to be found, fields want to be found, they want players, shops want to be found because they want players to come and, their businesses. Teams want to get the word out and just play with other teams. So if we can be that for the community, then we really will bring us together, because right now it's really fractured, right?
Right.
So that's kind of the short term, like where we're going. The retailer section will be up soon. The embedding will be up soon with the next 3 to 4 months. You're going to be able to search for events too, so not just a place to play, but what's being played. So I'm looking for CQB. I'm looking for a more milsim game. I'm looking for outdoor, indoor, different, FPS type games, whatever. We're going to have a whole set of criteria. So just like how you can search for fields, now you'll be able to search for games, and you'll be able to look ahead. So, what's happening in March? What's happening in May? What's happening in this time range? So again, make it easier for you not only to find a place to play, but what do I want to play, and then learning about, what does milsim mean, and granted, that's a topic that nobody seems to
That's
have
a
consensus on.
that's another podcast on all in itself.
Right, right. So anyway, that's kind of where we are now. The Finder is our first step, and we're hoping to grow. And we'll have social networking tools next year, so you'll be able to follow teams, follow fields, post as yourself. So Facebook-like abilities, but on a network that's dedicated to airsoft, which means that the topics are not going to be governed by anybody. It's like we're going to set this up for our community, for the kind of things that we like to discuss and all that. Though I would like to keep politics to a minimum, we're going to try to make this about the sport and advocating the sport and growing the sport. It will be nice to kind of bring everybody together. Anyway, that's our goal. Um,
Nice. Nice. That's anyone who knows me knows that I have a one thing about airsoft that I absolutely hate, and that's well, two things. One is drama. That's a number two. The number one thing is forums. I can't stand forums. So when I saw Airsoft C3, I thought this is the most exciting thing in the world because anything that could kill the forums or at least make them a more organized, take what the forum is and bring it to
the next level.
next level, because you know, anybody anywhere in the United States can tell you, if you aren't a forum person, which I am not, you know what I mean, I have better things to do with my time to be on there, like combing through,
Well,
people's feeds. Oh,
uh,
is this game going on? Oh, they allow tennis shoes.
right.
You know what I mean?
Well,
um
forums are good for finding what happened yesterday or last year, right? It's a great archival method.
yeah, exactly.
Facebook is really good for what's happening right now with the people I know. But bridging the gap between being able to make it easy to find what happened last year with more than just the people I'm friends with is what we're going to try to fix.
Exactly.
So there will be forums on Airsoft C3 eventually, but the goal is for it to be a more modern take on how we communicate. And a lot of the forums that people use now were like created in the 90s, and it's been updated. It's sort of like a format that everybody's comfortable with, but like you're saying, it doesn't really solve the problem. It actually makes it
Yeah,
worse.
no, yeah, it's to find information about games and stuff. Like me, I would love to be able to go to a forum and skip all the, like, whatever, who said, he said, she said, and just be like, when's this game happening? And as it
We'll
is right
solve.
now, yeah, as it is right now, to find out what about games, you have to go, okay, you have to go to AMS site, this guy's site, that guy's site, this guy's site. Is it happening? Okay. Then you have to be like, you do all this, you're doing all this research, and I don't care who you are, you know what I'm talking about. You have to do all this digging, or local games. Like, I'll give you a perfect example. Uh, East Coast Airsoft, one of our local stores, is hosting a customer appreciation game. They don't have the ability to do that on their website, so it's all managed through Facebook, which is fine. Facebook events, perfect, whatever. Okay, and also on the Chesapeake Airsoft forum, and so there's this hodgepodge of information going back and forth between both places, and I know, but let's say the guy down the block, because he isn't friends with, he never goes to that store and he's not on that forum, he's never
Right.
heard of the game, and that's the biggest problem. I mean, and me, I'm a national player. I go all over the place to play. So I would like to be able to easily see what's going on in Virginia without having to go and register on Virginia's forums to find out. Like, it's such a
Right.
pain in the butt, and then you have to navigate a new mess. So that's the problem. Like, these guys don't see this, and this is not an Airsoft C3 thing. I'm just going on a rant right now, but forums keep Airsoft like in this tiny box, and that's the thing we've been preaching on This Week in Airsoft for years. It just keeps Airsoft in a tiny box. It's not good for Airsoft. It's a good way for people to join and meet now, but I'm glad someone's come together with a better solution, and I think this is a better solution.
Thank-
I always use. I'm kind of in the startup world, sort of. You guys are in San Francisco, so you're definitely in the startup
Oh
world.
yeah.
You're like steeped in it. But so I use this word a lot that airsofters don't get, but I say disrupt. Disruption, which is a buzzword in the startup community, but what you guys doing this is, like I've always said, airsoft's ripe for disruption, and the right kind of idea at the right time will come along and do that. And Airsoft C3, I firmly believe, is that. Just from like
So
talking to you offline and talking to you now and stuff like that, I think it's an exciting idea. I've spent a lot of time on the Finder since we first talked, and there's a lot of information there. I mean, I could find stuff about Battlehack Airsoft and stuff about East Coast Airsoft, which is a tiny shop in a shoebox with a great inventory. You know, um,
We want to help those guys. The local shop supports their local community. And I see no reason that the local shop and the big online guys can't coexist. They give different things to you, right?
right,
So, if I want my gun serviced, if I want to learn about what's happening locally, if I want to just, what should I buy wherever, that local shop solves that problem. They solve it beautifully.
hmm
And, you're not going to be able to compete with those big guys as far as cost per light guns, but really, they don't make that much money on that stuff anyway when you look at the margins. I'd much rather go, all right, let's find what you want, and then I go and I support my local shop. For instance, Airsoft Extreme in Santa Clara is my local place. That's where our team brings our guns, and I swear they look at the tab that I've spent with my gear getting it repaired because I've chucked it through this and that or through the mud or tossed it in the water, whatever, but they're my guys.
right,
And I think everybody should have their guys, their local place to go. And the problem is when you get started, how do you find that?
yeah,
You know, we spent 6 months, there's three of us, there's five of us in the company, but three of us spent 6 months digging through everything we could find to build the listing we have. I mean, 6 solid months, day and night, digging, digging, digging. And unfortunately, you see these sad trends where like there's a bunch of shops and then boom, they all go out of business and the new ones show up. And I think that ebb and flow, we can cut some of that ebb if we can just allow people to find them, right?
right.
Like I said earlier when we were chatting, there's not a lot of tools out there for these guys. So if we can make it easier for the shop to connect with their local players, I mean, it's good for everybody.
Yeah, you guys are introducing a word that it's common knowledge in the business world and probably a little bit probably a little bit out of over the I forgot what the term is. A little too inside baseball. A
I
little
like,
too inside baseball for the regular airsoft player, but analytics, which
yep.
is like we had on, and you don't know this because you probably haven't heard this show, but there's a guy in Chicago named Brian who used to run Chicago Airsoft Association, the CAA,
Hmm.
and he tackled all his games with analytics. He's the only person I've ever met in airsoft who used analytics and common sense kind of thinking to approach the way he managed airsoft games. So he could find cheaters and people and ammo usage and what they needed. He used all that information and
Awesome.
all these special tools, and they were able to elevate the games in Chicago to a new level. You know, and that's something airsoft's needed for a long time. Regular business has this stuff, you know what I mean? So they don't waste money in this area and they don't waste money here. They can focus it there where it works, and that's the same thing. And that's going to keep those shops and stores alive. Like us just going and buying stuff isn't enough. We have to. They need the extra stuff. And this it's 2014. The days when you can just open up a store and say, okay, people will come we have the internet and stuff now. Now you've got to draw people in.
Right. Well,
So
you have to let them know. I mean, and there is a difference between reading an article about something and going in and bringing your gun in and saying, why is my hop up messed up? I pull. So why is it? What's happening? What
sure,
is a hop up? I don't understand. What's a bucking?
yeah,
You know, and really, you need somebody to pull that thing apart and show you what's actually happening in there.
yeah.
So yeah, I'm with you. I think it's good. And from an analytics standpoint, we're eventually going to have the ability to verify people when they do play it somewhere or when they do show up and this and that. And that data will be really valuable, not only to the players, but also to these local shops and these fields and go, oh, there are 5,000 people that were playing in New York this week, and I got 20% of that. Okay, well, that's not too bad. What did you do last week? Well, I did 15% last week. If I did 15%, then I did 20, I'm doing better. If I had 20, I go down to 15, what's happening? And really get a feel for how, like, how things are working. Like, we're going to have a sponsorship tool for fields, teams, shops, retailers, because everybody sponsors either a team or a game or whatever. It's like, all right, I put $500 into sponsoring this team. How do I get that back? What am I getting for that money? And being able to see that when you sponsor somebody and where did they go play, and then when they went and played that, am I getting customers coming back and looking at my stuff? Like, that data doesn't exist anywhere. It's a money pit. People throw money in that stuff all day, from the big online guys to the little shops, and there's no way to measure if it was successful.
Right.
And we want to give these tools to these guys. And I should state, our business model is very different than the traditional airsoft business model. If you go on AirsoftC3 right now, you'll see there are no ads. And our plan is to not have ads anywhere. Now, we will eventually have ads that are specific to certain things, but not your traditional ad sense. So I shouldn't say we'll never have ads. We will, but it'll be, you'll see. It's a very not in your face, easy to put away, only to support the community. It won't be how we make our money. So the way we're going to generate income, because we're a business and you have to make money to survive, is to provide extras. So everybody will get listed for free, right? You'll get a simple listing. If you're an advocate, if you're a field, team, shop, I'm not going to charge you any money. It'll be a full listing, description, directions on how to get there, all your Facebook and social media links, addresses, phone numbers. We're not going to make it difficult for you to use our tool for free. Then we're going to offer extras. So for instance, these analytics are going to be part of that extra package for a field. Being able to build custom events, being able to have after action reports, being able to build video podcast type displays, things like that. Like it's like you don't need that stuff to just be listed and for people to find you, but you'll want that stuff to grow your business. And then we're going to charge a small fee. And the idea is teams will have the ability to be listed for free, or if they want, we have pay a little bit. Fields, teams, shops, everybody. And we're hoping that if we keep those prices really low and we get enough people doing it, then we can run a business that's self-sustaining and do it better than it's been done before. Mainly, whenever you go to these places now, your ads are all over, and you got this little tiny spot right here. Where's my content? I want to read about this article as I'm being flashed in my face, and that's gone. That's not going to happen. So we are thinking about having a section we call Vegas. So you want to see all the ads that are out there? Okay, go to Vegas, click on that link, and we'll show you everything that's anywhere that people want to buy. I don't have a problem doing that as long as you know what you're getting into. It's like, are you sure you want to go to Vegas? Because you know what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. You go in there. We may not call it that, but we do like the idea of having a section for people to see ads if they want to see what's available. But it shouldn't get in the way if I'm reading an article. I mean, if you guys, this week in Airsoft, write an article teaching people about whatever, we'll have a news section that will get posted as you on our site. And you know what? People shouldn't be looking at ads for BBs at the same time. I want to read this article. I want to learn what you're writing about. And then I can click and go to your page and see everything you're doing. Now, on your page, if you have a This Week in Airsoft's page, you'll be able to put ads for you and your business. That's fine. I mean, when I go to your page, I want to see the deals you have. If you're being sponsored, you'll get to see your sponsors listed. But that's okay. It's like I'm going here and this is this person's business. I can't take away the ability for you to make income. That's not my plan. My plan is to make it easy for people to connect to the industry, the community, without all the crap. The user experience is really important to us.
Right.
Anyway.
So, it sounds like to me that what Airsoft C3 is really going to do, it's going to make things easier all the way around. And the reason I say that is because one thing Airsoft really lacks is organization. We have lots of organizations, but not organization. Which is really sad. And what you guys have right now is really kind of captured that. But once you add the other stuff, like I can tell for me personally, it's been a challenge. I can reach a lot of people in the Maryland area because I live in Maryland. So when I go to the fields and things like that, I can tell people, go check out This Week in Airsoft or whatever. Or I'm videotaping them, go to This Week in Airsoft. But if you go to, and we get boost, obviously, every time we go to an event. So when we're physically somewhere, we do really well.
Right.
But just like trying to find people and connect with people This Week in Airsoft is not a business by any stretch of the imagination, but for a media, just to find people to listen or to watch, it's really challenging. Like we're in YouTube, we're on YouTube, we have a website, we're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, Instagram, Twitch. I just set up today for some strange reason. We're on Twitch.
What's Twitch? I should know what that is. What's Twitch?
Twitch is it's what used to be Justin TV. It became a gaming network, so
Gotcha.
It's just games. So
we don't have to digress. I've just never heard.
Yeah, no, yeah, I know. No, check it out. It's interesting, but Yeah, so we're on Twitch. I mean, we're all over the place, and we're the places we are, the places where our fans are. But even within those places, once you get into Facebook, you have to work within their kind of little microcosm to connect with your users, and then Facebook may deem your content not important enough
I know.
to rate on people's pages. So then you have to be like, okay, your users won't see your content, or Twitter may say, well, you don't have enough likes or retweets, so and you just kind of fall through, or people have to catch it at the right time, or say, oh, I want to go look at their information, and it's the same thing with Instagram. These algorithms and things are working against you reaching people and giving them information.
Because they
So,
want your money. They want you
yeah,
to pay, and I get it. That's their business model. But because we're doing it in a different way, where it's like you just pay me for service, and if you're happy with the services I give you and the cost, that's it. So for us, and because the community is smaller, I mean, look, from what I understand, we're looking at like 300 to 400,000 diehard airsofters in the U.S., maybe a million chairsofters if you look at anybody that's bought gear. Now, I'm guessing with that number, I don't have actual data, but let's say that's right. That is what, 1,000 times smaller than Facebook,
yeah,
right? So part of what's going to be nice about this is that when you guys are posting and people are following you, everybody should see everything because our community is small enough and tight enough that even if we grow, if we double or triple it, let's say we go to 3 million people, which would be fantastic. You guys, people that are looking for your content, we're not gonna weight that information based off of if you've paid me to boost something. Part of this is we're five guys, and we're doing this as a side job. If we're being honest, I have a day job. I'm good. So I'm doing this on the side to build something that I wanted for me as a player. So as long as I can run the business that's healthy, that it makes a profit, I don't need to make $1 billion. I mean, I don't have overhead. I don't have any power bill, right? We're doing this as inexpensively as possible, and we're going to try to charge that way. So if I only get like one or two guys, we're going under. It's not going to happen. But if I can get enough of the community involved, paying us a little bit for a service that's useful for them, I'm going to be good. I don't have stockholders. I don't have to worry about that crap. So, I mean, part of what you're struggling with is that these guys have to make money. They've got this huge organization, and I don't begrudge them it. I get it. But our model's different.
right.
We're not going to have to go through the same hoops or force people through the same hoops to make money. I mean, I mean the community. The community is either going to support us and we're going to survive or we're going to die. I'm not going to change our principles for that. So we're taking a stab. We're going after it.
That's good. That's great. That's awesome. All right, cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. All right. So tell us. You keep talking about this team, this wonder, this dream team. Tell us who the guys are on the team.
The dream team. We've got Jacob, Ryan, Andrew, myself, and Joe. So those
Okay.
are the five guys. We've got two dedicated programmers, Jacob and Andrew. Andrew is kind of in charge of, and he's got a full CS degree. This dude's super brain. So he handles our back end stuff. He's dealing with server. We're going to be moving over to Google App Engine to be able to handle what we're hoping will be thousands and thousands of people online at one time. And then we've got Jacob, who's pretty much spearheading the entire like UI design. I mean, if you look, we've got it's designed with responsive design. It looks the same on a phone as it does on an iPad as it does on the computer. If you drag your view, you'll see that the interface dynamically adjusts itself. We did that so that we could have one code base. I would say that he and I are kind of in charge of the design stuff, most of the color look and like the logo stuff, how it all looks and feels. Ryan and Joe and I are kind of the community advocates, so we're the ones going out and talking with people and doing the research and building all this stuff. Ryan and I are kind of sales and marketing too. And Ryan has an extensive sales background. He's the third person I handed the gun to. I'm like, hey buddy, this is something. This is going to change your life. And then Joe, who was the godfather basically that handed the gun to me. He's been in the industry for and I say the industry as a player for like 15 years. And he has got a lot of small business experience. He actually was in a band. Believe it or not, running a band is like running a business, but filled with prima donnas.
Yeah.
So he
And,
talks about
and
the
less
drama
money.
and trying to fix that and all. And then he toured and he did great work there. And he's also really good with people. So Joe and I tend to get in front of the crowds. So we all have our kind of pluses and negatives as putting it together, but it all started with us playing together and loving airsoft. and going out and, getting our butts kicked plenty, until you learn that, oh, a radio is kind of a good idea.
Right. Yeah.
Like all these things, you're like, all right, so I've got this gun. I want it to shoot as fast as possible because that matters. And then your gun breaks and things explode. And you realize, really, if I'm shooting 14 BBs a second and I'm going to shoot semi most of the time anyway, I'm good because I'll just make my shots count instead of spraying all over the place.
Right.
It's a growth process. And kind of our business, Airsoft C3, has kind of done the same thing. We never intended, honestly, when we started, we never intended to even engage with the big online guys. We were like, we just want to make it easy for people to find stuff. But then we start talking to them, we realize they've got the same passion. They're just in a different place. And they actually have a lot to give back. So how can we make that work? And that's where the whole cornerstone thing came from. Supporting Fields was not originally part of the plan either. But as we started talking to these guys and getting to know them, we're like, man, you guys are in the desert. There's nothing here to help you.
Yeah.
And
Big time.
we started realizing we want the whole sport to grow. And when you talk about the community, it can't be just the player. You have to think about these manufacturers are building the gear that we buy. We need to support them so there's more gear to buy. And a healthy, industry is good. So trying to prevent the race to the bottom is a big deal. You don't want people price cutting and fighting it to the point where all of a sudden nobody's making any money and then all of a sudden you got one guy making guns. We don't want that either. So I mean, the holistic approach of what we're doing, it evolved. It didn't start that way. So anyway, that's the five of us. That's what we do.
Cool. Very good. All right. So what's the? I know you guys are taking on a long view right now. You're kind of taking your time and doing it right the first time. What's the timeline? When can we expect? When can we expect to see the next? Whatever's next from you guys.
Well, I'm going to give you broad numbers because
Sure.
that changes.
Sure.
So I would say in the next 2 to 4 months, event finding organizers, advocates will be online. The retailer section will be live, and people being able to embed our tools into their sites will be okay. So I say 2 to 4 because it depends on how complicated some of those things are.
Yeah. There's a lot of things that can happen.
Right. In the next week, we're going to roll out control panels. Actually, they're in beta now. And so we've got our guys testing all that live. We have actually a version of the site that's kind of isolated that we can do testing. When that goes live, we're going to be able to give everybody access. So for instance, field owner Arc Airsoft here in Hollister or GamePod Zone in Antioch, they'll be able to log on with their own account and change all the data on their site. So if they want to add new images of the latest game, change their description, add social media links or any of that stuff, instead of us managing it, everybody's going to be able to do that themselves. So after that section's done, then probably by end of summer next year, we're going to roll out the social networking tools. So that's going to give everybody the ability to post onto a wall, follow a team, follow a field, and individual players can have accounts. Because right now, we don't let players have an account because it doesn't make a lot of sense. It's like, okay, you're a player in your account, but you can't talk to anybody and you can't do anything. So
Right.
I'm not trying to harvest people's emails for no reason,
Yeah.
So that'll happen in the summer. Though I will say this, if anybody's interested in seeing what we're doing, we have a newsletter. If you go to airsoftc3.com down at the bottom, sign up for our newsletter because we are going to send every month or two kind of a progress report. What are we doing? Teach how to use features, stuff like that. And if you're in our newsletter list, we don't give that information to anybody. That's our thing, and we're just going to let you know what's up. So anyway, at that point, it would be good. But anyway, in the summer, you're going to be able to actually interact with the community. You're going to be able to post as a team or as a player. You're going to be able to follow. And we have a whole notification system set up so that, I mean, right now, a lot of times you see this badge with like 42 notifications. We have a system that'll make that easier to see what notifications you actually want to look at, what you want to ignore. We're going to try to make that an easier way for you to navigate what's happening. And for instance, if you're following a shop and the shop wants to post a new ad on their site, if you follow them, you'll get a notification under that shop and advertisement saying, hey, they've said they've got a new thing up online.
Oh, that's great. I love
Right?
that.
So you
Yeah.
can see what's going on. You can ignore them all with a click. Like you're going to be able to say, I don't want to see any ads right now. I don't erase all that stuff. Or this guy's being noisy, ignore him, whatever. But this way, while you follow people, you're going to get more information than just like, hey, somebody said something. You're actually going to get to dig in and see that stuff. And that also, as soon as that's online, then we're actually going to be able to start giving basic analytics to people then too. So now fields will see, oh, who's following me, who's talking about this or following these fields, and get data. Now, we're never going to give anybody's personal information to anyone. So if I say, oh, there's 300 players in the Bay Area that went to my field, or I within a 100-mile radius of me, I've got 50 people, 200, I've got 300 people. To get that kind of information will be very broad and very general. We will protect people. We're not going to be giving away email addresses, and we're not going to give away personal information at all. But that broad data is still really valuable to a field when they go, oh, there were 3,000 people that played this weekend, and 2,000 went to CQB type games. Well, okay, then I need to maybe offer that on my field, or offer something else that would get people to want to come over to my field. As a player, you win, because the kind of stuff you want to play and what you're participating in, you're going to see more and more of these fields dynamically offering new things to get you on their field.
Right.
Right. So I would say that's what's going to happen next year, summerish time. And then the next step is when we start getting tools for actually verifying if people have actually participated in events and things like that. I'm hoping by the end of the year next year. This stuff could move faster, could move slower. It really depends on how much work we put into it. Because one thing that we found is like, oh, we'll be done in 2 months, and then we really engineer it solidly. We keep adding new features because we want them, and all of a sudden, instead of 2 months, it takes 4. So the only promise I can give you is that we're only going to release what we feel is at the highest quality, which can mean a lot to us.
Do it right. Do
Exactly.
it right. Don't half-ass it, man. I'm a firm believer of that. I feel like if you watch the show, though, you won't believe I'm a firm believer of that. But
Man, don't talk yourself down.
I feel like just that one thing you said right there is like phenomenal. We've told there's a field up here by my house, not by my house. It's about an hour away from me, but the owner, he's doing paintball and airsoft and kind of scooting into the airsoft world kind of like gradually. And he's like, he's like, well, I'll just take these paintball fields and spray all the big balloons camouflage, and now they're airsoft fields. And the airsofters are like, no, that's not an airsoft. You need to build some buildings, and you gotta, airsofters want this other kind of environment. But he's not getting that. So a tool like what you're talking about would be fantastic for him, because then he would see, and guys, just so you know, for guys who don't understand this, businesses need hard numbers to make any moves. Because otherwise, everything costs money. You know what I mean? Do I buy this? Do I buy that? Do I get another domain name? Do I buy another? All this stuff costs money and time and effort. And to do something big and have it be a huge flop, you can't do that. You can't just build a CQB area. So that kind of analytics information is really exciting to me, because I know a lot of guys who would maybe say, oh, guys do like to play this. They do like more than just field games, or guys do like field games. Maybe I need to open up a bigger woods area. You know what I mean? So that's really exciting. I like that. That's cool.
Yeah, and after that, and this, I don't want to give time frames because who knows?
No, that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah, but like we're going to do a whole section for manufacturers and for gear. We're tentatively calling it the gearbox. The idea being, why do I want this? What do I need? What's out? What's an AEG? Gas blowback? What's Polar Star? What do these things mean? And really have a place to list all the different types of gear, all the different manufacturers, and learn about that stuff. In a way, it's not so much what can I buy, but why should I buy it? Understanding it. A guide's for parents to go, all right, your kid's saying he needs this $2,000 gun, but really he'd be all right with this $200 one until he decides he's going to play the thing, and then you can see the upgrade pass and understand what you're getting. Understand that eye protection and safe eye protection is the most important thing that you can put in your kid's mind, right? You're going to go out in the field and play here. Besides not being an idiot and playing in your school, Yeah. But like, the idea being, what we're doing for teams, fields, and shops and events, we also want to do that for manufacturers, gear, and everything else. We just felt like that was something that should happen after we get the gameplay tools in place. And then, we're going to have the same kind of deals for the manufacturers. They pay an extra fee, they get more tools, they're going to get analytics to see who's looking at what. I mean, right now, if we have, so many people in our network and they're searching and reading about Type 4 barrels, maybe it's a good time to come out with a new version or talk about it or write a news article about it. So then if you've got these guys that are building, Prometheus is building a new barrel, they can talk about it, write an article about why it's important. And people that are searching are going to look at our news section. They're going to search for types of news, and they're going to get that. You're also going to be able to search for news and information based off where you are. So I want to see all the news that's been written about my area. or things like that. So the news section, which I haven't talked about exactly, is going to be come online before we get to the social networking. Will also be good too, because right now, like if I want to read an article, as a parent, how do I find what safety stuff is important? What
Right.
about the regulations in the area?
Right.
And we're going to lean on the community to write these articles, because really, if you write an article as This Week in Airsoft, it helps your business and your viewership by
Sure.
just being an authority. So anyway, that
No,
the
that's that. I hate to keep like going back on stuff, but what you said about the manufacturers, that's important, and I'll tell you why. Not you, but the guys listening, why I think that's important. Um, when you see the guys from Airsoft GI do a video on a gun that they just received, that video, you have to remember, no matter how cool those guys are and how personable, you have to remember that they're a business selling this gun.
of course,
So they're not going to say, oh well, every time you pull the trigger it sticks, or when you do this all the BBs roll out the front. They're not going to say that stuff. They're going to show the gun in its best operating environment,
right,
which is good. I mean, their business, they have to sell guns. I get
right,
that. That's nothing wrong with that. But at the same time, you know, you might want to go right now. You can go to YouTube and hunt around for a few really reputable people, but among those people there's all kinds of people saying all kinds of things and maybe not covering the right stuff. And so I think it's important, it's nice to have a community kind of built venture where we can say all meet a same criteria, and these are the things we looked at, and this is where it rates, and now I can look at 60 people and see how they rated it, and then I can make a decision based on
right.
that aggregated data. So I think that's really cool, man. That's something like I struggle with a lot, because I mean, I have a bin of stuff I bought because I thought it was going to be good, and then I
We
never
all
used
have
it.
that bin.
Yeah, we all do. We all do,
We
of
all have that
course.
bin.
Man, I got. I just bought my computer. I got freaking mags. I got mags everywhere. Stuff that I was like, this is gonna be a great mag, and it was junk. You know what I mean?
The
So
community needs a better high cap mag, don't they? Like
yeah,
I
they
wish
do.
that I could build stuff, because I'm like I have destroyed more of
Oh man,
those.
that's
Ugh,
that's an offline topic. We can
another
start another
another talk.
business. Yeah, we can start a business. We'll start it tonight. That's a
Uh,
whole pet peeve of mine. But yeah, man, I'm really excited about it. So I think it's safe to say between now and the next, um, we'll say we'll say big, we'll say 16 months, which is a lot of time. Between now and 16 months, you guys will be rolling things out, making
yep,
improvements, and so guys can just keep checking back. And I would say, and let me just say real quick, I'm sponsored by AirsoftC3. No, I'm just kidding. No, this week in Airsoft, I'm not sponsored by anybody. I'm saying this because I've been using the tool the last couple days, just looking around at stuff on it. I love it. You know what I mean? I would say to guys, I know guys have their places they play, but I would I would challenge you to go on there, put your team up there if it's not there.
yep,
If the local store is not there, put it up there. Talk to the owner, get him to put it up there. Um, if 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 a field isn't represented, then put it up there.
right.
I think it can only make the field better. Like personally, I can compare this to say what Gmail is to email right now. Like Gmail kind of revolutionized email. It's free, it's clean, it works. You know what I mean? You can search
Right.
stuff. If you go look back at AOL and Yahoo and how it was, maybe probably longer than some of you guys were alive, like 15
I'm
years
not getting
ago
into that
or
old age
16
stuff.
years ago. But if you look how that stuff used to be, it's just revolutionary. And I think that this is going to be the turning point for airsoft. It's going to take us into a new age. I'm really really excited about AirsoftC3. Um,
I appreciate it. I
so
hope we can grow the sport. I hope we can
I think you
support the
guys can,
people that are
man.
there, and we can bring. I've seen. We go to these fields and we see these young kids like 8, 10, 12, and it's like, I'm like, I want you guys to start a team, and you don't need to be sponsored by anybody, and you don't need to have all the same gear, but I want to hear you guys loving it and playing it and learning how to play it right, learning how to play it safe, because honestly, they're the future of the sport.
Yep.
We need the young kids coming in, and we need them to be playing safely and know that they shouldn't be walking around with a gun in their hand as they're going from one place to another. It's like, let's teach these kids, let's bring them up right, and let's play and have fun. I mean, there is time to have a serious milsim specific rules based game, and I love that stuff. But there's times to just go out and put that high cap mag in there and start spraying and enjoy it.
Yeah.
And we need to encourage all that and be okay with there are different people that play different ways. So I'm hoping if we can represent everybody and we can get everybody on board, then we're going to grow that way. We're going to help these kids. We're going to, see the sport stop hemorrhaging players, and hopefully prevent as much of the drama as we can. Let's keep it about the game.
Right. Right. Yeah, I agree with you, man. I think I can tell you if I hadn't met the guy who was the former co-host of the show, Javier, who he has his own article now, his own thing, One Grunt's Opinion, for guys who don't know. You can check him out there.
Oh, cool.
But yeah, if I had not met Javier, and I think I met Javier on Craigslist. If I hadn't met Javier, no, I met him on the forum. On the forum. If I hadn't met him, if I hadn't met Javier on the forum, I probably wouldn't be playing Airsoft still. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's because of him I went to my first national event. So and this podcast definitely wouldn't exist. I definitely wouldn't have done it. So I can tell you I'll tell guys for a fact. If there's something there to nurture players, quitting is easy. And in airsoft where we're very disorganized,
Would justice surprise you for as much passion for the game that you see on the field that there isn't more cohesion?
It does.
I don't understand it. So part of this was just to try to solve that, right? It's like,
Yeah.
everybody, we're high-fiving and cheering and loving it. Why is it so hard to find other like-minded players?
Yeah.
Anyway, not to cut you off. I'm just like,
No, but you're right. That's the thing. You know what I mean? Finding players, building teams, finding fields, I mean, that's all what we're talking about here, and that's, I have no idea. Like, there's fields in Maryland right now. I was on AirsoftC3 the other day, and I found a field that I had only heard of and didn't know where it was. And I didn't know
I'm
their
glad we
website.
could help.
And I found it because the way AirsoftC3 works, and this sounds cheesy, and it sounds like I'm just like, oh yeah, you guys are great. But it's the truth. You know what I mean? It's the truth. I found this field. I think it's called Old Line Airsoft. I have to go look back on AirsoftC3. But I found this field that I had heard about it and seen pictures, and I was like, where is this field? And I never could find it because they have a horrible website. No one around me goes there. But if you're passionate about airsoft, then you say, screw it, I'll drive 2 hours to a local field and play for 5 hours, then drive back home.
If you know that there's going to be a group of other guys that want to check it out with you, if you could hook up with other teams, say, dude, let's go check out this new field together.
Yeah.
Boom, all of a sudden the field's making more money, and you guys are experiencing new airsoft. It's a win.
Exactly. You know what I mean? I would do it. I mean, I've driven 10 hours to Indiana to play airsoft. You know what I mean? So I mean, I can drive to the other side of Maryland.
Yeah.
So anyway, all right. Well, I've beaten you over the head enough. Tell us. Tell us. Don't worry, I've got my hat on, but it's
this started at 18, dude. I can't say it's old. I mean, I am old, but that's not where it came from.
Okay, so tell us, where can guys find AirsoftC3? Where are all your places, all your avenues and channels?
What do you mean? I mean, if you go to AirsoftC3.com and just search, at the top list.
I mean, but like obviously AirsoftC3.com, but you guys are on Facebook under AirsoftC3.
Oh yeah,
right?
yeah.
And
we're on Facebook and we're on Twitter and all that other stuff. I mean, until we can build our own social network, we are going to be involved in other social networks right now.
Yeah.
And honestly, Facebook's never going away, and Twitter's never. And those are great networks. One of the tools we plan to roll out is for a field owner. They can create a post for AirsoftC3, and they can automatically publish that to all their social media all in one place. So we're not going to say, oh, come to our network and ignore the rest. Nah, it's not realistic. But we hope that we can bring the community together so that you don't need Facebook to find Airsoft. You will use Facebook for what Facebook is good, hanging out with your friends, talking about what you did, versus I want to connect with my community and with like-minded people and stuff like that. So yeah, we're on Facebook, AirsoftC3, Twitter. I think we have an Instagram account. Joe's kind of in charge of doing that. He's the Instagram master. I haven't really gotten into it, but we haven't done a lot of that stuff. Like I think we've done one post that I've boosted, when we're like, hey, we're live, just to get the word out. But yeah, I mean, as far as avenues, that's where we are now. I'm hoping in the next several months we will be the finder for a lot of the major retailers. I mean, we're in negotiations, and that's, I hope it works out, and I hope they see the benefit of that. So hopefully you'll see stuff powered by Airsoft C3 on there, which then should hope bring everybody in together. But no, I mean, I think that's about it for now.
Okay, all right, terrific. Well, like I said, guys, definitely airsoftc3.com. Check it out. Um, this I was gonna say something, but I realized, it didn't matter. All right, guys. I'm James with This Week in Airsoft. Thank you very much, Rich, for your time. I really
No
appreciate
problem.
it. You have a good day, and
You too.
guys, see you later.
Bye.